Hello, everyone. Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today, we're going to talk about that doctor's visit that you've just been dreading. First, let me welcome everybody to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Normally, I'm out walking around, making videos as I walk because the primary purpose of my channel is to show you that it's never too late to change your life. I am rapidly approaching my 60th birthday. It's just a couple weeks away. And a year ago, when I started the carnivore diet, I couldn't even stand for 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain. Now I'm out there walking every day. It's been really cold here in Omaha. It is sunny and nice out today. Well, relatively nice. It's supposed to get up about 55. So I am planning on trying to get out and walk some later. But everything I had planned for a video for today just fell apart very early. Because as I told you, and I believe it was a previous video, or might have even been in the live, I used Planet Fitness. Let me back up just a second, finish saying hello to everybody. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, I'm normally out walking around, but today we're just sitting in front of the computer again because it's been so doggone cold and everything else I was going to do kind of fell apart. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. And well, gee, here we are almost 2 minutes into the video already, and I haven't really said anything. So thanks for sticking around. If you're still hanging around, how about working on my 5,000 subscriber birthday present, which is about 2.5 weeks away. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much. It means a lot to the channel. Because the more people I get to interact with the channel, the more people get to see these videos. And I don't care if they get to see me or Dr. Barry or Two Crazy Ketos or who it is. I think everybody, even if they choose not to adopt this lifestyle, at least should know that it is an option. So, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below, let me know how ugly I look today, because that's pretty much every day. So do all that kind of stuff. Thanks a bunch. It really helps out the channel. I appreciate that. So now let's talk about these doctor's visits. The doctor, what's the one thing that I always say you should base your judgment of how your health is? And the doctor, well, I should say most doctors are never going to ask, how do you feel? They might ask you about a specific symptom if you went into the doctor's office for a certain thing, like, well, I fell and broke my arm, so it feels like it's a broken arm. They'll ask about that kind of stuff, but they don't really care how you feel in general. They just want to know what your symptoms are so they can write you a prescription, because that's what most allopathic trained physicians are trained to do. Find the symptoms, treat the symptoms with drugs. No thought about underlying conditions and how to actually get rid of the problem. But anyway, the big thing that most people are afraid of, and I see it in comments all the time. So the primary thing that I want to talk about today is LDL. Now, the first thing to understand, hang on just a second, coffee time. Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up again. The reason everything fell apart, I had planned on showing you the YMCA this morning. I was going to film the zero entry pool to show you how easy it is. So even if you have bad joints, you can get in and out of the pool there. All sorts of great stuff that I had planned. Because normally, back when I went to the Y before, and it's been, I think, 3 or 4 years since I had a Y membership in the summertime here. Because there was that interruption going down to take care of Mom in New Orleans, where we had a pool in the backyard and all that other stuff. But I wanted to show that stuff to you. Back at that time, when I was going there, it was me and the lifeguard for like the first hour and a half of the day. Nobody went to the Y right when they opened up in the morning. And I even asked the lifeguard that was there, I'm like, is this normal for Sunday morning? And he's like, no, I don't know what's going on. I mean, there were like 40 people there, several big families with lots of kids. And I'm happy to see the kids playing and having a good time. It made it really hard to get my workout in, and it made it really absolutely impossible to film anything. So I just gave up on filming, walked for about a half hour, did some arm exercises, did some leg exercises, and was back out of there in about 45 minutes total. Because I have discovered that I still don't have a high tolerance for lots of loud kids screaming and having a good time. I have no objection to them screaming and having a good time, but it gives me a headache after a while. So anyway, back to this doctor's visit, and you're getting there, and the main thing that he wants to talk about is your LDL cholesterol. Yeah. And I have a lot of people in the comments that are like, Bob, you've talked about this before. I listened to you, but, and now they're still considering taking a statin because, they get freaked out because their LDL cholesterol, which is not actually, LDL is not a cholesterol. LDL is a low density lipoprotein. It is one of the things that carries cholesterol around your body to where it needs to be. There's no such thing as good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. There is just the molecule cholesterol. Now, there are different, there's high density lipoproteins and low density lipoproteins, which is what they call good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, but they're not cholesterols, they're just transporters. And they come in, they go to the doctor, and their HDL has come up dramatically, almost miraculously. Their triglycerides have come down dramatically, almost miraculously. Their HDL to triglyceride ratio is not only in the correct range, it's far surpassed it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people where their HDL was actually higher than their triglycerides. And, that's prior to this way of eating, I would have said that's just not possible, but it certainly is. There's a lot of people out there that do that. But then they get that LDL number. Now you have to understand, they don't actually test for LDL in a standard lipid panel. They take the total cholesterol and subtract out some things, and they guess at what your LDL is. It's a guess. But, you get that guess back, and you freak out because your LDL is 175, 200, 250. In some cases, even 3 and 350. I've seen a few as high as 400. But they're like, oh, well, I knew my LDL was going to go up, but that number is just too scary. I got to go ahead and agree with the doctor and take a statin. No. I have several videos about statins. Professor K talks about statins. Dr. Barry talks about statins. Dr. Paul Mason has a couple of really good videos on statins. If you go to the Low Carb Down Under channel and look them up. I don't believe there are any situations where a statin is appropriate because of the way the research was initially done, some of the things that they're discovering today about statins. I personally, now this is just my opinion, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, I don't believe anybody should be taking a statin for any reason. Because they don't do what they say they're going to do. And there have been some other studies that show that lowering your total cholesterol is not such a good idea. And look, folks, yeah, your LDL ended up being high. I say, so what? Your HDL numbers are great. Your triglycerides are great. Your HbA1c, which is, the glycative damage that you have to your red blood cells caused by sugar, that number is in great shape. Your fasting insulin and C-peptides, all of your numbers are in great shape, except this LDL number. And I know the last time I said this, I had a couple of pinheads come in and, they want to point out, well, what about genetic disorders like sickle cell and all that? That makes what you said not valid. Well, yes. In relationship to a standard metabolic person and their panels, do you really believe that if all of your other markers are in great shape, you've made great strides, you're getting better, you're getting healthier, and all of your lipid panels and blood panels come back normal, except this one marker, do you really think your genes are getting it that wrong, that everything else is good, but this one thing is bad? Because LDL and the amount of it that you have is made in the body. You can eat a little bit, but most of what is in your blood, your body made. Do you really believe that we would be here as a species if our genetic code got that one thing so very wrong, according to popular opinion? I don't. And I think that the LDL numbers actually, when you take all of the other crap out of your diet and you fix everything, I think if we were to do a study based on just people that are doing a zero or very close to zero carb, adequate protein, adequate fat diet, I think we would find a much different average. Because you know how they come up with all these averages on things, like the LDL, what the standard ranges are. There's not some big scientific study where lots of people in long white coats with great big brains got in a room and said, okay, we need to test all this stuff to find out what the normal ranges for each of these things are. No, they just took a big sample of people off the street, tested everybody, and said, okay, this is a sample of general public at large. Here's the averages of all of those. So we'll just set these ranges at this, and that's what's going to be normal. Now, the one thing that has noticeably changed in the markers that they're looking for in lab work over the last 10, 15 years is, isn't it amazing that as statins become a multi-billion-dollar drug, that the target numbers for LDL keep getting lower and lower and lower? Because the lower they make the target number, the more people are eligible for statin therapy. So I guess the whole takeaway from this today, guys, is don't let your doctor scare you into doing something that you know is wrong. Yes, you could have a marker or two out of whack, but look at it as a whole. Look at all of your blood work and lab work together. And again, watch Professor K's channel. Don't take my word for it. I'm just an old retired truck driver. I don't really know a whole lot about what I'm talking about here. But watch Professor K, watch Dr. Barry, watch Dr. Mason, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Baker, and the list goes on and on and on of people you can watch. And they will reassure you. Dr. Eric Westman, great resource. I don't mention him nearly enough, but he's great. But watch all these guys. Specifically, pick a doctor, go to the search engine of your choice, primarily Google or YouTube, and put the doctor's name in and LDL, or the doctor's name in and cholesterol, or LDL, or the doctor's name and statins. And watch what they have to say about it. And I think you'll come back with the same conclusion I have, is that there is never a reason to take a statin, because in very specific groups of people, there is a minor improvement, possibly, but the side effects are very likely. And I don't think even one of the side effects is worth that little bit of extra you're going to get out of it. So don't be afraid of the doctor. Remember, your doctor works for you. He cannot hold you down and force pills down your throat. The worst he can do is drop you as a patient. And if he's willing to drop you as a patient because you are refusing to take one of the drugs he is suggesting you take, then you probably didn't want to be seeing that doctor anyway. And it's time to find yourself a new doctor. Anyway, don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you tomorrow.